Well, hello, and happy Thursday to such a busy day yet again on the stock market. The big news today, once again, was the unemployment data. And unfortunately, more Americans, once again, filed for unemployment. So now we are over the mark of 45 million Americans unemployed. In addition, let's talk about how the Dow closed. Dow closed down 39 points, and the NASDAQ went up 32 points. So unfortunately, still a lot of news. We're talking about, what's happening in the government. And most importantly, we continue to see coronavirus cases continue to rise here in the United States. Interesting enough, right before we jumped on live here today, California, which is where I am, has just announced that it is now mandatory to wear masks here in California, that they really want to help mitigate the continued cases and hopefully try to flatten the curve. So some good news certainly for us to share today. But on other things, today I'm so happy because today I'm excited to introduce to you my very, very dear friend. She's actually joining us from a very important conference that she is a part of, the one and only Stacey Kelly. I wanted to... So you can see her. Stacey Kelly is a digital executive with more than 15 years of experience producing story-driven content that engages millennials and Gen Z. She really can do it all. Recently, Stacey headed the original content for VidCon while still at Viacom, which I've actually seen her. I actually met up with her at VidCon, and I did some filming with her at Viacom, which was so fun. And she keeps Eventbrite top of mind for their Gen Z audience all year round. She really does so much in terms of YouTube content. She's great at LinkedIn. Now she's doing TikTok. And she actually helped them increase their TikTok channel from 0 subscribers up over 110,000 subscribers in just 3 months. So prior to that, Stacey developed original content for Mammoth Media. And, basically, number one, she makes incredible content. Second of all, let me flip that. Number one, she's the most amazing human being. She's just so sweet. And then number two, she makes amazing content. But 3, most importantly, she also makes sure that the content is seen by so many people. So thank you so much, Stacey, for joining us today.
Hi.
And I know you're busy today too. So maybe you could talk a little bit about where you're joining us from today.
Yeah, so obviously still doing the whole stay-at-home thing. So I've been involved with a conference today for a little bit. And then I also had a shoot going on. So it was a remote shoot. And I was helping to I put the whole thing together with my team and wrote and developed it. And we just shot in a park in LA. So it's just been a lot of fun today. So very busy.
You've been very, very busy, Stacey.
Yeah, always.
I have a pretty busy schedule, but I feel like lately you actually have an even busier schedule.
Yeah. Well, I just kind of when everything was happening with COVID, I just really kind of saw things changing so rapidly and so fast. I mean, March 13th was when things were shutting down, and by March 15th, like that weekend, I figured out that everyone was going to Zoom, and I found a lot of opportunities there, and I knew that people needed content. So that week was just trying to help as many people as I could, really just giving out a lot of free advice to everyone in my network, and then that just kind of snowballed into people just saying, "Hey, calling me for more things." So it's been great.
Well, that's so kind of you, because I know you called me for the same thing, and you were just reaching out and like, how can I help? And I was like, I think this is so great because this is an area that you know very well. I know you and I have chatted on LinkedIn. We're good friends, so we've met in person a few times and we've collaborated a few times. But, let's talk about sort of your world and how your world has changed from coronavirus. I mean, you're used to going into Viacom and all the different projects and companies that you work with, working with creators and celebrities on their live shoots. How has your life changed dramatically? And what does your day look like now?
Yeah. Well, the day is still busy, so the day is still pretty packed, but for sure when it comes to shoots, the shoots are so different. I wish I actually had my producer on too to kind of tell you because he knows all the technical ends of it, but um we are doing everything through Zoom, and so I'm just sort of like still in one place, but always sort of feeling like I'm on set with everyone. And we have the camera person who's like, probably like 15 feet away, to be honest, with a long lens. And he's filming the talent out in a park. And so we have the masks on, we're in open air. It's just so different. And yet there's still so many elements that do feel like I am still going out on set, because there's just moments, it feels like still like, production just has this way of kind of like taking your energy at the end of the day, and you kind of feel it, and you still kind of feel that even if you're not physically there. It's just like, it's still just a fun thing. And for me, I love problem solving, and figuring out like what are new ways that we can still tell these stories. And the first thing that I jumped on was just kind of figuring out ways to tell stories remotely through Zoom. What are Zoom focused stories that we could even do? But now we're doing actual shoots that are out in the field, like so remotely like this, and just having the telephone calls. It's just been interesting. We're all learning along the way, because we're all problem solving along the way. It's just been a lot of great teamwork, that we've all been doing. So it's just been fascinating, to just see everyone jump on in and just get it done, because we still have a lot of important stories to tell.
We have a lot of important stories to tell for sure. And on that note, I remember when we first started doing this sheltering in place, there was a run on webcams and camera equipment and whatnot, and like you're right. And everybody was jumping on Zoom. And I think a lot of people are starting to do different projects on Zoom. We've seen that like that show Some Good News, which is doing phenomenally on YouTube, right? Which is essentially using different iPhones and whatnot. But when you take a look at that sort of content, right, sort of almost telling stories remotely, which is a lot what you do. What do you think? I mean, so there's been a lot of thoughts, right? Obviously, everything's a lot more raw, right? Like I'm not in a studio, I'm at home and you're at home. And so I think the audience now is a lot more forgiving in terms of the quality of content that we create. Is this going to be sort of a trend, do you think, in production? Is new content going to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more edgy? Or do you think after this, we're going to go back to more traditional ways of production?
I think this is just a huge disruption, and with any disruption, you figure out new ways to kind of figure it out. I think what we have seen is that we're not letting it stop us. We're still doing everything safely, of course, but we're just finding new ways to tell those stories. So the first kind of, I don't know, phase of it was just like, what are exactly Zoom stories that we could do? And we were all stuck at home. And so we did Zoom stories around kids that were disappointed about canceling their birthdays, and people were all talking about it at the time. So we got people to surprise those kids, like YouTubers to surprise those kids. And so now we're in sort of like this new phase. Like we're talking about Tyler Perry in Atlanta, who's starting to open up and do testing with his first round. After we see that, there's all this talk, I read a lot on Deadline and just talk with a lot of my colleagues at the guilds. And there's a lot of talk right now about just how are we going to test out this next phase of opening up and kind of like having full-time, COVID healthcare people like on the set monitoring every single part. And I've heard a lot of debates on both sides. I think I'm just going to stay positive. We're all going to figure this out together. I mean, we have like probably another year, they say. And if we just figure out a way to kind of keep telling stories that people are drawn to, they've been drawn to the raw stories, they've been drawn to that raw Zoom thing. I think maybe people could get a little tired of it, but as long as the story is compelling, they'll always come back. And the character being compelling, they'll always come back to it. I mean, right now, I feel like I'm going into new types of stories where just because things have opened up in the last 2 weeks, we figured out ways that we can have crews be out in the field and tell stories that are just at least outside and everybody's wearing masks and being safe with the talent and being far away and just having those protocols. But, I think as the world is changing, obviously the entertainment business is changing right along with it and just trying to do everything that they can to still tell stories, but in a safe way. So we'll just be keep going in that route with the world.
Well, Stacey, one type of content that you've always sort of excelled at is like obviously very engaging content that the next generation, the younger generation loves. And you do trending content. I mean, a lot of your content, you pick up a whole bunch of subscribers. Everybody loves watching your stuff. So what I'm really interested to hear is like your experiences now. So there's a lot of business owners right now thinking, oh my goodness, I mean, my business is struggling. I want to get that next consumer or next customer or client, you know, what have you seen been success for some of the clients that you worked? Like, what sort of content do you think really resonates well right now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, really, for sure, everybody has a platform right now, and their people are home, like really being open to what they have to say. So I think the stronger your voice, if you're just at least consistent with it, always giving a lot of good value, like whatever your business is, you have a platform that would work for you. I watch a lot of Gary Vee, who's always saying like post like tons of content like every single day. I don't know if you have to do that for every single thing. I don't think you should burn out, but find what works for you. Obviously, photographers or video makers and creators or creative entrepreneurs in general and writers, they can kind of find their way on Instagram, or, writers and media executives find their way on Medium. If they write a lot of articles, like that's content too. So as long as you're always bringing value to your audience and, engaging with them, asking them questions, reading their comments, seeing what they have to say, what their suggestions are, and then going out and giving more value on top of that, that is definitely the way to kind of build your audience and build your engagement. It's a long-term game for sure, but this is the prime time right now to start that. And, you could start that today, right now, with your iPhone, and people will accept your message and listen to you. So it's very important. You don't need all the fancy cameras and all the big things that I'm doing right now with having 5 people crews and things like that. You just need yourself, your phone, your imagination, and just what kind of value you have to bring, and share it with as many people as you can. And, and listen to your audience. That's the key, is just what do they want from you, and give more back to that.
So that's great advice, and I think that's key. So what platforms are you really focused on right now for like that next generation audience? I know we talked a little about your successes on TikTok and YouTube and everything else, but sort of where are you really honed in on right now?
Yeah. So TikTok for sure. I do for a lot of different brands. So TikTok is definitely where you're going to find the younger audiences. Still a little bit on YouTube. YouTube is still, like the fresh entertainment. You can still kind of like work and experiment and still do like high quality stuff there. But TikTok is where it's at. It's where people can be raw. They're getting engaged with challenges by TikTok, and they're building up their communities, within weeks. So that's really where the younger audiences are for sure. And then if you're just in other industries, if you want to just meet other professionals, I mean, there's still younger people too on LinkedIn, but there's also older people and more seasoned producers and professionals that you could always connect with if you're posting. And I love LinkedIn too, because that is a place right now where for the last couple of years you could post video, and that's also been just another way that people can kind of like engage with you, because not a lot of people are on LinkedIn video, like I know you are, Winnie. But because not a lot of people are on it, LinkedIn will kind of more support if you're doing video consistently. So that's a great place too, if you want to just engage with young people and young professionals.
I love that. And I think it's like, I think it's sort of like when you're active on social media and active creating content, and many times like you don't know exactly where you should be. Like, to be honest with you, I didn't know that I absolutely should have been on Twitter. Robin Stevens, who's watching us right now, she was actually one of the main reasons. She really encouraged me to like embrace Twitter, go for it. And then, then I started going all in at LinkedIn, and then getting access to live video, which you're absolutely right. You can't just assume that the audience is it or isn't going to be on a platform. Sometimes you just got to try, because sometimes your content could translate very well. I actually just had a conference call meeting last week with the folks at Twitch, and somebody on the call said, "Well, Twitch, I mean, your platform is for watching gamers," and I was like, "I don't think so. I think Twitch is, has much more audience now." And then the team at Twitch is like, we are just focused. They're really focused on great quality, long-term content, right? Mm-hmm. Like everybody else. So I think it's hard to just say my audience is only one place, because oftentimes your audience is at different places. So one thing that I know you and I, because we're friends, we've talked about, is the whole idea of diversity, right? I know,
Mhm.
Stacey, you had not a couple, but quite a few kind of challenging weeks, and so
Yeah.
let's talk. We should just talk about this. If you um, let's talk about how do you think about diversity right now? Do you think it's so? Yeah, I know you're still processing this, but talk about
Mhm.
where you lived and what are some of the things that you're excited about in the future. Where do you? I mean, I'll tell you right now, Stacey, I'm excited because I feel like we're having more open dialogue about this, right?
Yeah.
In the financial industry, for example, just this week there's this big discussion about one of the heads of diversities came out and said, they felt that they were not embraced for their background and whatnot. I think sometimes, like, as both of you and I are what I've been called a double minority, right? So we're very, very different, but think of it from a creative content
Yeah.
standpoint. I mean, this could be exciting, right? This could be an opportunity for more awareness, more content with different types of people. Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that in terms of content standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, totally. I mean, I feel like now, I like you said, I'm still processing it. There's just a lot going on every day. And it's just been a little hard to kind of take in with what's going on in the communities. But it's also, yes, it's very, very uplifting and very hopeful. I do think, from what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, for sure, people have jumped on, and so many companies that I work with and that I've also seen and heard, they're so open to this dialogue and having this connection with people, and it's great to kind of see that now. I have to admit, it's also like a little jolting and a little surprising sometimes, because I think there was one week where it was just like, I'm in like all these different groups, right, and like for small businesses and creative entrepreneurs, and just suddenly it was just like, okay, Black women, like this is your spotlight, like just post about your business like right now. And it was just like so like a lot in one week, and I was still processing, and I think a lot of people have felt that. I've heard a lot of Black women kind of saying that, like, oh gosh, we hope it's not just this one week, we hope that we can just keep the dialogue kind of open, and at least I see that in my industry is people are very open, people are very supportive. The people right now are asking, just kind of like how I'm feeling, like, and what can they do. So I know that people care, and that's what I want to focus on. I just it's just like it's still a lot is happening
A
like
lot.
as we speak. Yeah. So, but I think the content is there. Like I saw a lot of women just really kind of posting about like how they're feeling, and people, and they're being vulnerable, and that's the key thing is that we're allowed to kind of have step more into that space right now, and be our vulnerable selves, and that's really kind of helping them in their businesses as well, which is great, and helping them to kind of really express themselves, which we didn't have before. So
Mhm.
I feel like, there's an opening there, which has been great. A lot of social media kind of platforms, and people kind of saying like, please, like we're sorry, your voice should have been heard all this time. Like, please, like tell us what you need. And that's been really, really nice to see. I'm seeing it a lot on social media content in general. So
Yeah, agree.
yeah.
I think, I think in many ways, Stacey, you and I we've been pretty fortunate, right? Because I think in Southern California, and you being in,
Yeah.
very high level creative space, I feel like it's, it's pretty embracing in many ways. I mean, maybe not enough, but certainly I feel like there's always room for improvement, right? In
Yeah.
everything that we do. But I think having that conversation and having active conversations is a good thing. So I hope
Yeah.
that you're feeling better, and then
Yes.
we're
Yeah. Thank
going to
you.
get better. I know you're certainly a lot busier, right,
Yes.
than ever before, and but talk about this. I mean, talk about, like, are you worried about, like, COVID spiking because of everybody's getting out there? I also, are you creating content around this? I'm curious about that too.
Yes. So I have been very concerned about that, to be honest. That's part of like all the conflict, because it's like, oh, here's this great time that everybody's protesting and supporting of, BLM, and it's been just so awesome But then I'm like, oh my gosh, I just don't get sick. That's all I keep thinking of is like, please, everybody just be safe and don't get sick. I really just care about everyone's health. I just love everyone for it. Oh my God, just fighting the good fight. But in terms of making content, so what I've been doing is really just been focusing on gathering letters from people, especially as we're opening up right now, and just kind of really hearing from like real Americans and real people, just of like what has been going on with your life. Like just write a letter to your old self, like how you are in February versus writing a letter to who you are today, or writing a letter to somebody in the healthcare field. But it's just collecting all these letters, and it's the COVID-19 Letter Project, and it's a website that I'm putting up as a blog with my partner. And it's just been fun to kind of hear those stories, and we've just been kind of putting it together right now. It's just our gift to kind of give back to the community and have like a space where we can just kind of say, this is our new life now. It was more initially for post-COVID, so obviously the focus is on COVID and just how your life had changed after kind of shutdown and lockdown. But yeah, whatever people want to say right now in terms of just the current climate and just kind of writing letters. The idea is that you're writing letters to someone, whether it's your old self from before March, or whether it's to your family or to people that you miss, or people that passed to COVID or anything. So that's really the main focus of it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've been asking this question a few times, and I feel like it's perfectly timed for this. So, Stacey, if you had the opportunity, if you had the opportunity to write a letter or tell yourself how to prepare, if you could tell yourself in January how to prepare, what are some things that do you think you would have done differently if you knew we would be here today in June in this situation? What are some things that you would have prepared? Would you have prepared differently in terms of your work, maybe even your geography? Like, I'm just curious, as your friend, like, what were some things that you think you would have done differently if you knew?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I just did not expect any of this, obviously, like the rest of us. I still don't think I would have bought as much toilet paper as people did. I would have still bought the amount I needed, I think. But I would have definitely been a lot more just aware of just kind of how to be healthy, and kind of warning more people at the same time as well. Just kind of like, I probably would have gotten a mask or two, just to be safe. And just and gloves, and just kind of, and food, just to be safe, and making a plan with my family that's like a little bit more steady of like what we should do together as a family. I have family in Jamaica as well. So yeah, so I think I would have just planned more family time and figuring that out better. Because so there's something just a little just off about, and especially living in California, which is kind of everything. It's just a little stressful. So definitely, I would want to be around family more.
You'd be mad. And so where's most of your family?
Oh, they're spread around the East Coast. So New York, Atlanta, mostly Jamaica. So, and I'm the only person in California. So
that lives
there.
Yeah, so many people have said that. They've said that this process has really taught them to be grateful and really give so much more value to the people in our lives that matter most to us, huh?
Yes, exactly. And I was always talking to my family back in January, but obviously I remember saying to my mom one day, I was like, stop listening to CNN. They're just trying to scare you, and then a month later we were shut down. So my mom still makes fun of me to that day. She's just like, remember when you said to not watch the news? And that was in January. So I was so wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. I think a lot of people are wrong. I remember I was one of those people in like January, February. I was going around, and Robin, who's on this call, remembers, because I went to see her and the team at NASDAQ, because that's where we film our show in NASDAQ in New York. And I was like, Robin, I gotta order these masks, and can you pick them up for me? And then I'm not even kidding. So she met me in New York, because she's based in Philly, but she met me in New York, and she had like a little shopping bag of masks. She's like, I brought them. I was like, and then still, I mean, that was so early still. That was like still in February. And I remember going to a restaurant with her and like my crew, and then I brought wipes, and they're like, yeah, Winnie's just being a mom because she's a mom. But really, we were like, a lot of that stuff I was already starting to talk about. So, we should have talked more.
Yeah, you were definitely prepared if you did February. You were so prepared then.
Well, yeah, and it's so funny because people probably won't believe this, but I actually have a photo of my team member and I on the plane. This is in February, and the entire plane like is completely packed, right? Because it's coming back from New York, or I don't know, two New York are back from New York, and we were the only two with masks. And of course, people thought we were crazy, but
that's the thing. Yeah,
so,
yeah. It was not wrong. I think I saw two people in LA wearing masks in February, and I was just like a little thrown off by it. And I was like, "Wait, here?" Yeah. so that was still February, and yeah, by the time March came, it was still like, "Whoa, what is happening?" Everyone at the company I was with at the time, it just felt like this impending. The walls were coming down. So yeah, now we know.
Now we know, but yeah, I'm curious to ask you this because I'm curious. Number one, I want to see your letter that you write, and obviously, where can we follow this content? Because Stacey, I mean, I'm connected with you, but where are you going to post this so that we can see it? And are you going to, in addition to in addition to letters, are you going to do video in addition to this to kind of document everything?
Yes. So that is something that my friend and partner, we're doing the whole video portion story together. But the first initial wave of this, we just want the blog, we want the written letters, we want to hear from people and really just have them kind of express themselves through words as much as they can. So it's at the COVID-19 letter project.com. And that is where we're just collecting and we're publishing as many letters as we can, like one a day. We just started it. So we just started it very recently.
So can we submit letters to you, Stacey?
Yes, there's a submission link. It's just that website /submit. So
that's really cool. I mean,
yeah, thank you.
I'm not surprised, but you've always been really cool. So I'm gonna have to check this out, and I'll see if I can figure out some time to be able to write a letter. And that is really, really good.
And but you can be anonymous or not. So, but yeah.
Okay. So whatever you're thinking and, you want to voice your feelings about COVID and everything that we're going through these last few months, you can submit them to her and you don't even have to give your real name but I'm sure knowing Stacey is just such a gem and she's just a complete ray of sunshine and positivity. So I'm sure that the site is going to give you content that you're going to really want to, and it's going to move you. It's going to make you feel something, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's coming from the people, so it's raw. It's not produced in any way. It's coming directly from you. It's from the community for the community.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you had to run to come here to do this with me because you're on a shoot, and I'm guessing you're going to have to get back in the heat back to your shoot.
Yeah. Yes. Right in a California park. So
right. Yeah. But can we go ahead? Can you share out the places that are best that people can follow you and learn more about you?
Yes.
And especially those businesses out there who really want to create more content, relevant, most importantly, very, very popular content, how they can reach out to you, Stacey.
Yeah, thank you, Winnie. So yeah, they can reach out to me directly by emailing hello@staceykelly.co. And that's STACEYKELLY.co. And if anybody wants to submit their letter for the COVID-19 letter project, just go straight to covid19letterproject.com/submit.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for the invitation, and definitely and also Stacey, you can also follow her. She's also active on LinkedIn, so you can follow her along there too. But just a wonderful person, and I thank you so much for doing this. And Stacey is and in this way, Stacey and I are quite in common. Stacey, believe it or not, is also very, very shy, but and she is used to being behind the camera, producing, directing, editing, working with talent. And this was a long time coming that Stacey could actually be in front of the camera. So thank you, my friend.
Everybody tells me to do it. Everybody. So thank you. Thank you, Winnie, so much. Thank you for sharing my story. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we're going to do it again sometime for sure. And especially after all this craziness, we're going to have to meet up for lunch because I do miss you, my friend. But
Totally.
stay safe
Oh,
out
yes, I
there.
miss you too.
And thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope
Thank
you'll take
you.
a chance to connect with Stacey Kelly, just an incredible creative. She makes really great content, but most important for some of the biggest companies here in the United States, trending popular content for that next generation, especially for businesses trying to segue into that space. And with that, I will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to take things up a little earlier. Out of respect and celebration for Juneteenth, we are going to move our live stream tomorrow to 1:30 Pacific, which will be 4:30 Eastern, so an hour earlier. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And then from there, we'll just have an amazing weekend. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.